Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. Space Divine. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And the topic going to be learning to wait. And that's the hard thing in your stone, but it's necessary. Learning to wait. We're going to look at Ruth chapter 3:18. Then Naomi said, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happened. For the man will not rest until the matter is settled today. Psalms 27:14 is talk about wait also. Wait for the Lord and be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Now during your storm, it's gonna be a lot of waiting. You're gonna have to wait on God because God do things on his own time and his own way. And so in your storm, in your trials, it's all about wait. And you have to learn to wait. To wait on God, wait on time. You gotta wait on everything for things to move according to God will. So this package is about learning to wait. Now I know that it's hard. It's hard to do, but we have to wait. We have to wait on God. We can't just jump the gun and think we can do it on ourselves because it'll start come tumbling down. So God's timing is to move in our life, you know. So Naomi hometown in Bethlehem, because became a poorhouse, because the famine before the move, before they had moved, they was in their hometown. They had a famine in the land, before immeasurable heartaches and loss, So she experienced misery, bitterness, and loss, So when she lost her husband, that was a break. A bread out of the house. The man of the house. She lost her husband. Then she lost both of her sons back to back. So imagine how this woman feel. But through it all, she had to wait on God. God had a better plan and a better life for her. And all she had to do was just wait. So she was sure a life would never be the same again. And we all like that. When you're in misery and bitterness and your stomach is just out of control, the losses, you feel like your life will never be the same again. You know, but God have a different plan. He will give you hope again. And it never was. And when she decided to return back to her hometown, her friends even paid tribute to her. They're like, oh, that's her back in the day. Jesus did the same thing. Went back to his hometown, but he ain't get no welcome. And sometimes, so Naomi went back. Her friends and everything. They was happy to see her. They had to ask herself if that's her. So when Naomi went back home, she remembered the surprise of their faces. The words they whispered. Can this be Naomi? So they wonder out loud, sharing at the shadow of the woman they knew. Because, a lot of time, you grew up with people. And then next thing you know, 10, 15, 20 years later, sometimes you still look the same and sometimes you don't. So they was whispering like, if that's her, because sometimes you might still look the same and sometimes they have to wonder if that's you. So Naomi went back home. Now, remember, Naomi was married. She had a husband. She had two sons. Now she back in her hometown, and now she got to explain. She went back empty-handed. So now she got to explain to them, my husband gone, my two children is gone, but she had to thank God that she is still here. So now she got to tell them, she came back to her hometown empty-handed, you know, but but inside, she was broken. She had to play it off and laugh with her old friends, but in the inside, you're broken. And sometimes that's how we are in our storm. Not all of us, some of us, some might can handle the storm better than others, but inside she was broken. Naomi had had scoffed at the agony of her mother and named her pleasant. Now all this going on, she worried about how her mama named her Naomi, mean pleasant. So what was pleasant about in her life now? That's what she said. So instead of joy, that was suffering, bitterness, and was her own destiny now. And sometimes, they say you're never supposed to let the devil take your joy, steal your joy. But a lot of time when you in that pain and you're in that suffering, you know, sometimes your joy just start fading away. But we not supposed to let the devil steal our joy. Because we always got to think about the goodness of God to keep that joy in the inside of us. So sometimes we go through so much pain and suffering. You may lose your joy. You know, that's what Naomi is saying. She said her job was gone, but she had to pretend like she had some job while she was talking to her old friend. Remember, she came home empty handed. She didn't told them she was married. She didn't told them she had 2 children, and then come home, her husband gone, both of her sons is gone. So she's saying out loud to her friends, they don't really know the pain that's settled in her heart. you know, but she don't know that God about to fill her heart with love and beautiful life again. She, God about to put love back in her heart. God about to make her life beautiful again. But we'll give her that life through Ruth. She will have all this here through Ruth. Because Naomi at the age, she don't want to have no more kids. You know, she had the age, she ain't for having, because see, Naomi said, we'll wait around for some more husbands too. She said, I'm not trying to get no more husband. I mean, make no more children. So but she just don't know what plan that God have for her life. See, all that God is doing for Ruth is ready for Naomi. But Naomi don't want to start that life no more with no more children and no more husband. So God gonna give it to Ruth. Ruth loved Naomi like that's her real mother. She loved the ground Naomi walk on. So that's why God already know Ruth's heart. He know if I bless her, she gonna bless Naomi, you know, and give her that life that she had. You know, it gonna be better than what she had before. So however, Naomi's sorrow and seed of hope for one small word. Wait. You know, wait on God. He have a big plan for her life. Even though it's gonna be through Ruth, but it's still gonna be for both of them. She will be blessed. You know, that baby that Naomi, that Ruth gonna have, they're gonna place all the broken parts that's in her heart. So wait for God timing. You know, I'm in the process of learning to wait, and I've been waiting. Because you don't want to turn to no one else. You got to wait on God. God's the only one can bring you through it. He the only one can guide you through it. So wait for God time. Baptism is the house of bread. Will again fill with the love and riches. For Naomi and Ruth. So wait for God. Provision. Which will be Boaz. Wait for God blessing. So it's all about learning to wait. It's learning to wait. It's very hard. The Israelite had to wait 430 years. David had to wait. He was anointed since she was about 17, a young boy, and he ain't get to be king and over Israel until he was fully grown. Kept on running from Saul. So it's all about wait, all about waiting on God's time. So now we're about to see that Ruth is about to strike up. Naomi is struggling. She in pain and suffering. And Ruth clinging to her mother. Because mother said, I'm about to give you a life. Because she wanted her to have more boys, sons. So she can marry again. So Now we're about to see how Ruth is about to strike gold. Naomi said to Ruth, my daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for. And see, Naomi loved Ruth too as her real daughter, and Ruth loved her mother-in-law. So Naomi said, she said to Ruth, I must find a home for you where you be well provided for. And she meant that. Because see, wherever they going at, boy, wherever they going at, she's got a cousin that's rich and gonna instruct Ruth how to strike gold. You know, at Bozad, you know, with who women that you have worked is a relative of her. So now just Naomi is giving Ruth instruction. Because when Ruth got there, she started working in the field. And not knowing that field owned to a rich man. But Naomi about to tell her, about to give her instruction how to get the rich cousin, Boaz. Remember, Naomi said she will find a home, well provided, so she can be well provided for, and she can be well provided for the rest of her life. Naomi said tonight he will be. Now she tell him how to get this man. She tell him how to get her rich cousin. Since she been working in the field, he been having an eye on her too. Cause he telling his own workers in the field, do not mess with her. Whatever she want, let her get. So he been having an eye on her too. So now Naomi about to instruct her how to get this rich man. So she said tonight he will he will be battling on the straitened floor, wash and put on. He told Naomi told Ruth to wash, put on perfume, put on your best dress, you know, best clothes, and then go down to the threshing of the floor and don't let him know you are there until he finished eating and drinking. So she giving him full instruction. She already know what he do. When he finished eating and drinking, when he lied down, after he finished eating and drinking, he lied down. Know the place where he is lying, and then he will tell you what to do. You know. So Ruth said she will do everything you want me to do. Ruth did everything her mother-in-law told her to do, and now she have to wait. Says all about wait. She did what the mother told her to do. Now she have to wait. She have to wait and see what Boaz say. If he like her or not. So Naomi asked her daughter-in-law Ruth, had just returned from spending an evening with Boaz, like a schoolgirl, describing her first experience of falling in love. Now she fell in love at first sight. The way her daughter-in-law smiled, figuring her hair, you know, locking her hair whenever she said his name, so the way Ruth felt right now, Naomi started remember her husband, you know, as she liked to call him, sent a chill excitement through her. Now as she listening to Ruth talking about their date, talking about Bozan, she was just smiling, she was googling, and she was just flicking around with her hair. You like your first date, And so Naomi just saw fantasizing over her husband. So she remembered the days when she was with her husband. Remember, she's still bitter, she's still broken. So as Ruth was talking about Bozan with much love and excitement with Ruth, chills went through her. Ruth did the work. She did the work to pursue him. So 3:18, then Naomi said, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happened for the man. It will not rest until the matter is settled today. Because Ruth asked her, well, what else I can do? I did everything you told me to do. And so Naomi told her the only thing you can do right now is just wait. Wait until he respond back and see if he like you the way you like him. So Ruth have to wait. Her whole life is in Boaz's hand. Ruth learning to wait, being guided by her mother-in-law. You know, you have to wait on God's timing. You have to wait on God's provision, which is Bozan. This whole plan is God's plan. He had um he had Ruth to cling to her mother. He had Ruth to be up in that field. He had Bozan to go out there and have an eye on Ruth. All this is God's plan. You gotta wait for God's timing. We got to wait for God's provision. We got to wait for God's blessing. So our life is in God's plan. God have a plan for all our life. So all the weight Bozan had took Ruth, and she had become his wife. Now she had to wait for a while now, and so he give her an answer if you like me or not. So Ruth waited. She waited, and then he responded. And they still had to get things together. And he married Ruth. He's a rich man, and then she conceived a son. She called him Obed. So the women told Naomi, now Ruth got married. Ruth the one had the baby. But all her friends in the neighborhood had told Naomi, praise be the Lord, who this day had not left you without a godliness, a redeemer. That this baby will renew your life. It will sustain you in your old age, for your daughter-in-law who love you and who is better to you more than 7 sons. And she right about that because Ruth really loved her mother. And remember I told you, she said she broken. And I had said she about to, her heart about to be filled right back with love. This baby gonna put that love back in her heart. She gonna love this baby. She gonna spoil this baby. This gonna be her first grandchild. So she gonna have that love back in her heart again. So remember, Naomi's heart was broken. But now this baby will fill her heart again with love. Naomi took the child in her arms and cared for that child. She had nobody to care for besides Ruth. Because her 2 sons gone, her husband is gone. Now she got Ruth and she got this baby. And that she gonna love. She gonna love and cherish this baby. All the hard wait, Ruth had to learn to wait for the answer. She had to wait because she asked Naomi, I did everything you told me to do. What else to do? She said, all you have to do is just wait. So Ruth had to learn how to wait because she had to wait for Bozan's answer. Her life would depend on wait, on how he felt. So Naomi and Ruth, they both had losses. Both moved they both moved, and Ruth had clinged to her mother-in-law. That she know what life would bring her, but she followed her mother anyway. She didn't know she was gonna be rich. She didn't know she was gonna find a rich man. She just wanted to follow Naomi. She wanted to know her God. She said, "Your God gonna be my God," and she clinged to her mother-in-law. Now God was trying to comfort Naomi, and give her hope, a life again through Ruth. So God bless Ruth, knowing the blessing will go through Naomi also. Her baby put love in Naomi's heart again. So Ruth have a chance of happiness again. And also Naomi. So God give her hope. There was no way to know for sure, but Naomi offered Ruth the best advice that she could give her. Her life won't be what it is today. It won't be for Naomi. Naomi gave her good advice. She instructed her how to get this rich man, and she did everything Naomi told her to do, and she got that rich man. She married, and Naomi said, "I'm gonna find a place that I'm gonna find something that you're gonna provide for. You're gonna be well provided for the rest of your life." And now we see she is gonna be well provided for the rest of her life. You know, so that was the best advice that Naomi had given Ruth. So Ruth had to learn the hard way to wait, until you find out what's happening. Just wait. She would ask him, what's next? What's next? You know, Norma said you have to wait. You have to wait. Do we see? Wait on God timing, you know, until God provision, you know, rich man who married Ruth, you know, all this was God play. Wait for God, you know, wait for God and wait for God blessing. We see that Ruth was blessed, you know, will be provided for the rest of her life. You know, so when we learn to wait, you know, on God's time, the wait at the end is all worth the while. You know, it's God plan and timing. You know, now this is a bloodline, you know, a history. From Ruth and Boaz, you know, this is where David come from, the bloodline of them. You know, it's God plan and timing. Ruth and Boaz, you know, have a son Obed. Obed have a son of Jesse. Jesse have a son of David. And David have a son of Solomon. So David come from this bloodline of Ruth. You know, Ruth is his grandmother. You know, Ruth his grandmother. You know, so they made history. So I also have a story about David. I also have a story also about David who had to wait. You know, um, he was anointed as a young boy. You know, but we see as he was grown, he had to learn to wait on God. You know, to make him king over Israel. You know, so David had to wait a long time to sit on seat, to sit in seat to be king. He had to wait a long time. In the meantime, he running from Saul, you know, from cave to cave, you know, and he still wasn't over the Israelite. You know, so running from Saul all his life, all the wait, you know, at the end was all worthwhile because David finally had become the king over Israel. You know, so David had to learn. He had to learn to wait. You know, wait on God's timing. You know, because David's life was God's plan. You know, um, David had waited and he was excited at the end. You know, while he was dancing, he was dancing for God. You know, when he finally had made to be king over the Israelite, he started dancing to the Lord. You know, um, and in my stone, I'm also is learning to wait, you know, on God's timing and God's provision in my life. You know, so we all will learn to wait on God's timing for our life. You know, so that's the word about wait. You know, it's all about in your stone, your trials. It's all about wait. And sometimes it may take a long time. You know, I'm learning to wait. You know, you got to be patient. It's very hard. You know, you want to just come out of that stuff. All of us, we just want to come out. You know, but it's all about wait. You know, Israelite had to wait 430 years. You know, but God still saved their life. He called them and still saved their life. You know, so it's all about waiting on God's time. You know, so that's all the word I have on you on tonight. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.